You are a go.
All right, welcome everyone to the October 15th episode of MVP Office Hours. I am Square Kirshner. Our co-hosts are Dale Ziegler and Joy Shutters-Helbing. Say hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
We are super excited to have you join us again this bi-weekly extravaganza. Couple things to go through the normal paperwork. We've got MVP Office Hours as our Twitter handle, as well as our individual Twitter handles if you need to get a hold of us. MVPofficehours.info is our site, and MVPofficehours@gmail.com is our email. Those are all great ways to reach us. However, I will beg you, and we'll get that to the next slide in a second, that anything that is a question, it's always best to start the success group because there's more people than us that can help. So post there first. If you're not getting a good answer, or maybe you want to be a little bit more private, that's fine to hit us up in any way that you feel comfortable with. As far as Salesforce events go, it's still been pretty quiet, but we have access to all the community-led and Salesforce-led events through the Trailblazer Trailhead Waffle. Feel free to use all that. Tahoe Dreamin', Florida Dreamin', and SEA Dreamin', which is the APAC virtual session, are all coming up soon in October and November. And then make sure, if you're not already a member of all the groups, join some groups. Lots of good conversation out there, especially in this virtual world. All right, next up, again, the success group is your best to start a conversation. If you've got a question, if you have feedback, if you want to follow up on something that was either brought up or you didn't get a chance to bring up in the meetings, start there. Lots of smart people trying to help each other every day. The next meeting will be, first of all, don't forget that there's global MVP Office Hours in Portuguese at MVP Office Hours Portuguese. They are on the last Thursday of the month. Carlos is the best, and he will help translate if necessary. Lots of smart people there too. Feel free to engage, share, and just be part of the community. I didn't change that date. Sorry. The next meeting will be November 5th. So I'll update that. Thank you, Dale. So we'll see you again in 2-ish weeks. Remember, however, for this meeting, we are recording. Please mute yourself when you're not sharing. Feel free to ask questions by raising your hand or posting in the chat. Introduce yourself and share your screen, but nothing private. Again, going back to, we are recording, and if you don't want to be recorded, then you can't participate. I'm sorry. Use the chat to post any resource links that you think are valuable to any conversation. We try to catch as many as we can and put them in the slide deck, which are, if Squire does his job, attached to every meeting update to help with that. And we do want to make sure that everyone participates. We're all MVPs because we're all trying to help each other. And so this isn't just the Squire, Dale, and Joy show. This is all of us working together. Having said that, other MVPs on the call today, put up those hands. Quiet. That's okay. It's early too. I think
Cassie was on. Where'd Cassie go? There's Cassie. Yay, we got Cassie.
And there's Stu. He's off camera, but in all of our hearts.
Stu's waving. Thumbs up. Thanks.
Again, we're all MVPs by being on the call, so everybody should be raising their hands. Link Hall of Fame added the data access model. A lot of times there's some conversations about org-wide versus object versus profiles versus roles. It's always a great idea to make sure you're refreshing your mindset on order of execution and data access modeling, because it's always changing. And with the permission set model being more and more prevalent in the documentation, make sure you know permission sets inside and out. And of course, Mandela effect and the golden circle are just useful, fun links that we'll reference every time we bring this slide up. And with that, unless there's anything I left out, I didn't see anything in email or community since our last meeting. Dale, Joy, did you?
No, me either.
Okay, so the door is wide open for conversation. So I guess we put it to the group. What do we got?
I'm betting Cassie's got something because she showed up. No,
It's just the first time that I've been able to actually join. And so
I love
just
it.
want to listen and help if I can. I mean, I'm sure I'll come up with something that happened this week that fell out of my head since then, but we'll see.
I love it. Oh, Shakira's got a question. She's got her hand up. Shakira, did I say that right? Help me.
Kira,
Tell us what you have.
oopsies. I have a question related to the probability field on opportunities. It's probably a very basic question, and I tried to Google it. However, we have an integration with Deltek Vantage, one of the two, and the product owner for Deltek wants to know what the API names are for the values in the probability field. And I don't know what those are because I'm used to seeing them when I go to a field and seeing what the available values are, but I just can't tell. So I don't know if they're decimals or if they exist or what that is.
So many responses. So before anybody else jumps in here, I'm gonna put the metadata API link in the chat. That is another link that I'll also be adding to the document. It has all those answers for you, Shakira, on any sort of API labels on standard objects. But as far as this goes, I'll let Joy, you know what? You probably know all this stuff off the top of your head because you deal with opportunity all the time, don't you?
Well, there's a lot going on there, right? Are they looking to view that or just read it, or are they going to be editing that? Because probability is super tied in with the sales processes and the stages. However, it can be different. It can be changed. And so it really just, there's a lot of considerations to take into your thought process with all the things that are going to be connected. But if all they need is the API name, then Squire's got your answer in that doc.
All they want is the API name for the values.
Oh, for the values.
Yeah.
Are they stored like pick lists? The probability values?
The sales process, the stage.
That's what I was trying to find. And it's that native Salesforce.
It's
Works
sneaky.
a little different functionality.
Sneaky that way. Let me see. Well, it is create a little.
I'm on mute.
I
don't think-
I've been talking this whole time.
Exactly, yeah. I was probably swearing under my breath when I was on a hot mic and then actually saying something important when I was muted because, that's how it works. I wouldn't think probability would have API names because you can't set them directly. They're a byproduct of you setting the numbers, right?
Right, but it can be changed. There are situations where probability is editable where it doesn't affect the stages.
But probability is a number.
It is.
Yeah, I think it shows up as I think it's stored and referenced as a decimal and displayed as a percent because when I've used other percent fields in formulas, you have to compare to a decimal, not the percent value. I don't know if that is helpful.
Yeah, so I pulled up Workbench and I'm looking at like type is percent, digits is 0, length is 0, scale is 0, precision is 3. So maybe it goes up to 100%, right? So byte length, I don't know, that doesn't help us at all. But no, there's not an API for pick list values,
Okay.
right? As far as that,
That makes me feel better.
but the values are tied to the stages. And so make sure they're not looking for the stage APIs, I think.
But is it process 2 that stores that? Is that right?
It's in their sales processes. So
Process is the parent of stages. Stage then drives probability.
So is there multiple objects there then? Boy.
Not that we have access to.
Right.
Let's see here.
Now,
so opportunity stage is a metadata object.
We got into Workbench super early. I'm incredibly excited. Let's see.
But default probability is what it is.
Yes,
It's not,
and that's on opportunity stage, right?
right. That's the opportunity stage object is default probability. And so a lot of companies will like make that probability field read only. And so you can't change it. Right. But some companies make it editable where you can change it based on like wherever you are in the sales cycle. So you can change it to like 95%, even if you're at like the first stages of the sales cycle, because maybe you got the verbal already, but you still have to go through all the stages. But everybody has their special situations.
Yeah, special situations called sales.
Stu, you dropped a link. Do you want to speak to it?
Can I go today without speaking at all?
Sure.
If you want to, I just wanted to give you the opportunity.
I feel like Stu's on another meeting on another computer. All right, so remove the, but Shakira, you're really just looking for that, the stage, like an API label to give to them. Is that right?
Yes, the API that corresponds to the pick list available probability options or values.
I'm not sure who's sharing right now. Would you click the second
Dale.
link I dropped?
What?
Would
Dale
you
is
click the
sharing.
second link that I dropped, because it takes you right to the opportunity stage API doc for SOAP. I'm not sure which API they're using that they want to. It shouldn't matter, but this is the SOAP guide, and default probability is the field you're looking for on that object.
Mm-hmm. And then when you actually query the object, default probability is a 3.1 precision field.
Sounds about, yeah, that would be right. It would be 100% down to 1/10 of a percentage.
Yeah. But again, the API name here actually corresponds to the API
stage.
name of the stage. Yeah, of the stage
Yep.
pick list value.
So it's pulling in information off the stage and storing it in the opportunity in a secondary field then?
Whoa.
Is that what it's happening? It's not actually a reference to this table. This is almost like a metadata table, right? So it's saying at this stage, pull this percentage, drop it into probability on opportunity. Is that what we're saying?
Kinda. I mean, yeah. I mean, for giggles, I kind of want to see if we can just insert a record into it, because it's one of those fuzzy metadata data thingies. Like I just mass inserted 60 groups yesterday. Turns out that's data in a metadata looking thing just through here. So I wonder if opportunity stage is similar, but again, the only API name is actually the pick list options API name.
Yeah.
Right.
And it
that's
looks like opportunity probability in the SOAP doc references that. I'm going to read it, but I'll put the link in too. Percentage of estimated confidence in closing opportunity. It is implied but not directly controlled by stage name. You can override this field to a different value than what is implied by stage name. And then it talks a little bit about controlling the ability, the probability through API. So this is the other half of the equation, maybe. I feel like we have a lot more questions for your question asker, Shakiria.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean,
But this
so are they just
Yeah.
trying to get access to it because of a secondary API, or are they trying to write code, or what? I mean, what are they trying to do with that API name? Do you know?
From what I understand, they're trying to make sure that Deltek can read the information and update when an update happens in Salesforce, that Deltek doesn't query out if the API names are
Yeah.
different.
So you might be able to just run a WSDL. I mean, it depends on what API they're accessing this with, but you might be able to run a WSDL and give them the full API list, and then they can go at it. Yeah.
All I can give you is stuff you've already seen. So
So
That's that note. Yeah.
would now be a bad time for me to immediately flip to the Hall of Fame Golden Circle? Why ... is your integration partner or whoever asking you for this? And why are they asking you for it if it's their product that you're integrating with?
All valuable questions.
Golden Circle strikes again.
And the answer that they would say is, this is how we've always done it.
Oh,
Yeah, that's the worst.
that is beyond the worst. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. I definitely appreciate your help.
Well, let us know if that works out. Just like with a, hey, that worked, or whoa, we went deeper into the whole issue.
I will, thank you.
I love the vagueness. The vagueness of the description of that field is just makes me warm and fuzzy. That it is implied, but not directly controlled by the stage name field. I love it when values are implied, but not directly controlled by. Wow.
Because
Thank you.
technology, because binary, because ones and zeros, because if this, then that, but
I think
only if I feel like it.
on my tombstone, it'll be, he was implied by, but not directly controlled by the Salesforce ecosystem.
Stuart, are you done with your section of the meeting that you can join us now? Is that what's happening?
Sue, not to get super technical on you, but you wouldn't be implied by, you would be inferred from.
All right, so we have Melissa that had a question today.
Right before Melissa
Melissa?
jumps in, Shakiria, you should be able to pass your developer links to just those documents. That should be everything they'll ever need. Then you don't have to try to translate what their question is. Send them the SOAP and the REST and the metadata API links and say, figure it out for yourselves. Because if they're integration partners, they should know the platform. You're using native opportunities. I would start there.
Thank you.
You bet. Sorry, go ahead there, Joy.
And you can share this recording with them.
Perfect. They can hear our disdain at their inability to ask a clear question.
I was looking at data loader, and probability is a field you can load via data loader. Would that not hint towards what might an API name be or not?
Are you talking about on the opportunity stage object?
Or are you
No,
talking
just
about
the
directly on
opportunity.
the opportunity?
Directly
Oh.
on the opportunity.
I don't think it actually lets you load it because the stage will override it.
Yeah, are
But
you
it-
looking
Oh,
at
okay.
insert or export?
Interesting.
It's editable though. That's the thing. Probability is editable. So for some companies, some people make it read only. Okay, Melissa, let us have it. What do you got?
Today's question. We use the Salesforce Outlook add-in on the browser, and my users are having big issues with it, and we're not getting anywhere, even with Salesforce support. So does anyone have some best practices? Do they know, have they had this issue before? No. How do I get it to work? It's just, it'll either load forever and never actually come through, or it loads for about 5 minutes and works. So
Interesting.
it seems to be a timeout issue.
So the first couple things are like shut down all your windows and browsers, clear your cache, install, uninstall, make sure your browser's up to date, all that good stuff, right?
Yep, of course. We've
And
done
then
all
the last time I touched this was over 3 years ago. So that's all I got.
Stuart
Check
says
API
something.
limits too.
Which,
API calls.
yeah, that's true. Which operating system? Which
Windows.
browser? Windows?
Chrome.
Windows and Chrome, okay.
Windows and Chrome.
And I've
Good.
also
Glad-
disabled all the extensions and done some different setting things. in
Is this-
Salesforce.
Is this Salesforce or Outlook or Outlook email?
Outlook email Salesforce add-in?
So
Salesforce add-in on the browser.
On the
Yeah.
Outlook email. So it's a Microsoft add-in.
So it's the web-based.
Yes.
Web-based.
And this is Marty, is this a recent issue?
Yes.
So I have a client, I'm a consultant, I have a client that's having Outlook issues. There was or is a a Winter 22, a couple of known issues that.
Oh, okay. I have not found them.
Yeah, similarly, Salesforce support is,
Scrambling.
Not helpful.
they don't know, but they seem to be a couple of different ones, so that could be the issue.
Yeah, they're not listed on the known issues yet.
Right, right.
Because I've looked there a couple times.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Yeah, not the only one.
Marty, if you happen across like the actual write-ups or the issue bugs, would you please post them in the
I'll see if I still have them.
That'd be great.
or even if you come across them later, or Melissa the same, if we want to come back to this, or if other people see it, we'd love to be able to share it.
Yeah. Great, thank you.
One last thing, Melissa, I forget is, so in the old Salesforce Outlook, you always had to do an MSI update with every patch for a release to make sure it was equitable. I don't think you do that anymore with Salesforce email, even though there's a release in flight. Is that a true statement?
I believe you're right. With Outlook on desktop, you do have to do some type of update. With the browser related one, as long as the add-ins, the newest, you should be fine.
Okay.
But there's no actual Salesforce update on that.
Cool. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
That was a good one, Melissa. Throwing doozies at us. I like it. I like it. So
Well, I can
Brandon,
figure out the easy ones, so of course I'm gonna throw the doozies. Gotta keep you guys busy.
that's good. We like it. We like it. Keeps us all learning. Brandon,
I know.
Einstein Activity Capture.
Yeah.
You're looking for alternatives because you can't see emails tracked in the activity. So other options.
Yeah, just to give you some background too. So I was at a previous company. I've switched now to a different company, and we still have the problem at the other company too. I've not yet found a good workaround for the Einstein Activity Capture. We want to be able to measure, obviously, emails, tasks, activities, everything sent. It's not available unless you buy, enhanced stuff. And as far as reps, they're putting in. Some of them are doing the BCC to just kind of the workaround to get it into Salesforce, but have it tracked as a task. But look, and I talked with Salesforce today, and they're like, oh, well, in the Winter 22 release, we did upgrade that, and they said events, and I was like, yeah, I don't want events, I want tasks. So you guys have obviously know this stuff. Well, I mean, the problem. Any solutions?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like every time this comes up, the response from the group is there are tools that do it better.
That are paid options that do it.
Because you end up paying for analytics just to get access to the AEC data anyway, so you're still paying. You're just paying it to somebody else, right?
Yeah.
Not helpful.
There's like what I guess what are the options, Squire? We've got because I don't want to endorse anyone like just by like spouting out their name, but there's an option like, well, high velocity sales isn't going to do the same thing, is it?
No, we got it.
That's the problem. It's still EAC over the top, right?
But the reporting is like hidden from folks that don't have it. So I mean, we'd be looking at like Outlook or SalesLoft or I mean, even HubSpot has like email tracking, and there's lots of options,
But it's individual emails, not the mass emails. Like mass emails from like Pardot or whatever, those work. Mm-hmm. And it's the fact that it's just it's going on the AWS server. So
yeah.
I mean, I'm
everyone that's touched it in my space has gone with like a larger tool.
Yep.
Because they're
that's fine. What is the larger tools
then? Yeah. The list is long and detailed, and anything we give you would be would be suggesting a good tool. How about a non-MVP? Is anybody on the call using one that doesn't make it look like we're recommending a vendor?
Yeah, Ernesto said that Revenue Grid might be an option to take a peek at.
That doesn't sound like anything related to emails. I mean,
Actually, it does. Yeah,
Oh, it
actually
does?
saves every email.
Okay.
So it's the name that throws you off. But if you actually look at the website, they will explain everything they do. Currently, my company, we use it to connect Outlook to Salesforce. And then we have an automation that saves every little email that you send. Obviously, you decide which one, or it's automated. We have it automated. That if it's a match with the customer, it saves it under the activities.
What about
Every
prospects?
email.
Prospects or not?
Yeah, it doesn't care.
Okay. And then we're a
Plus,
Google shop too, so I don't know if that helps or
Yeah,
if there's hacks out
I
there.
think
that's better.
they do
Does
both.
both. It does both.
I've used Cirrus Insight with Google. That's worked well for me.
Is that CIRRUS
CIRRUS. Yep.
Insight?
I believe it works with Outlook and Google. Maybe others.
Yeah, it has
Bruno said
lots of
Riva.
hits.
What's Riva?
Yeah, I've used Riva Cloud as well for a client that worked well. They've been around for a while. I want to check them out.
We
Take a
we
look.
did not have a great experience with Riva. It works well, but not as well as others, in my opinion.
Riva is used a lot for financial institutions historically, and let me see. We are perhaps struggling in some ways with that tool, but it's a solid tool, and we may or may not be struggling for reasons that have something to do with it or not.
Stu, you
There-
always have.
There's a
interesting
bunch
questions.
on there's a bunch on the App Exchange too, with a good amount of reviews and responses if you just
Okay.
want to start poking around there.
I
Yeah.
still say, I'm just throwing this out there for other people to hear. I still say that with Einstein Activity Capture, it's storing data in an external location. Let's say that's AWS S3 bucket. Let's say there are other solutions out there that let you tap into data that is external in an AWS S3 bucket and see that through a pane of glass in Salesforce. So why hasn't someone come up with a very simple and elegant way to see my activities and emails that come through Einstein Activity Capture that just happen to be sitting in an external warehouse? That's a Amazon web server. I don't get it.
That sync to the task object.
Yeah, or just an additional little bucket that sits at the bottom of that says, oh, and you have all these other things that are also part of that.
Well, this gives me a couple of directions to go in. I think one of the things too that we're working at is the analytics on high velocity sales isn't really how we want to see them anyways. I've used Groove at another company, so we might switch to that because everything going through Groove comes in as a task that's an email as well. I did want to answer a question from a previous one, I think it was 4 weeks ago, which was, can you just load a list that from a trade show directly into contacts, and will it create the leads automatically? And it will not. So match your list against your contacts on your emails to then update and add the members, and then load the rest of them as leads. So
That's unfortunate, but
well, I mean, you'd kind of hope that it would do like an AI where you just throw it into a bucket and it goes, oh, I match. Okay, I don't, but there's another business idea. I just don't have the time to build it or the capability. So I'm sure somebody actually has it, but
yeah.
Anyways, thank you guys. This is helpful. You give me a lot of different options to look at. So
Curious, Brandon, you mentioned Groove. I've had some interactions with Groove as of recent. Are you familiar or are you using?
Very well, yeah. We're not using here, but at the previous company I'm still supporting, we are using Groove. We're using the dialer with it as well. Any questions or comments, concerns?
How about the 30-second version of yes, no, maybe?
Yes. I mean, I think it's something that an organization should look into. Outreach.io is a data analytics engine, I feel like, with task activity assigned to it. SalesLoft is different. Groove is built on the Salesforce platform, and it's kind of a good mix of the two because you get enough data analytics to be for a VP of sales in a call center, as far as calls, emails, clicks throughs, all that stuff, without all the other headaches of, you know, call it AI or whatever. And their support is phenomenal. I mean, on when you're in there, they've got the little bubble sitting there. You click on it, you can get a response from somebody pretty quick, and their documentation is great too. So there's probably 30 seconds. I didn't time myself.
Oh, great. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yep. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to stick around though, because I like hearing what other people ask. So it's really interesting stuff.
That's how we all get sucked in. We want to hear what we don't know. Like we want to hear about what we don't know. Like
it's like, is this a train wreck or is it just a little? I love it though. I learned so much.
Yay! All right. Well, who do we have next?
Can I ask real quick on a related note? I thought Einstein Activity Capture with emails made it like a separate object or something. Is that not right?
Yeah, they're off. They're offsite.
They are.
Well, but also, if you're asking about enhanced email, where it'll create it into it, when you get high velocity, you turn on enhanced email, and then emails become its own object in and of itself too. So templates and stuff.
Okay, that's what I thought. Just wanted to check. Thanks.
Yeah, we're using enhanced email, and they work great in the timeline, but only if you send them from Salesforce. That's really the gap, right?
Makes sense.
All right. Where are we?
Lizelle has a question on the standard location object and reporting, which I am intrigued to hear about because I'm using that object with a client right now. So go for it, Lizelle.
Thanks, Dale. Yeah, so I'm playing around with associated locations, just working in Health Cloud. Multiple doctors work in multiple facilities, so I'm trying to wrap my head in regards to how do I associate that? And I said, oh, you know, I looked at documentation, boom, associated locations. And now I'm like, how do I report on that? Because I'm not seeing that as an option. And I looked at Google and I saw someone else have that same question with no answer. And that was also a couple years ago. So I'm thinking maybe something has changed. So I went into reports, trying to look at associated locations as a report to look up, like accounts and contacts. You see a pre-populated list of reports that you can do. I don't see that. So I was like, okay, let me go ahead and create a custom report and associate associated locations with accounts, and boom, I don't see anything else. So I don't know if I'm blind or what the deal is. I'm assuming that I would be able to report on it since it is in Salesforce, but I don't know. Can you please help? Is
this one of those multi-relational tables that makes reporting almost impossible? Like you can relate a location to multiple accounts, and as a result, there's no direct relationship between the two.
Yes, because I could essentially, when I create other account records, I can put said associated location and, you know, it'll be on that record. But, I guess that's what complicates the whole reporting aspect because, sad face.
Yep. Yeah, because you have that weird thing of like, it's the same way that like, what's another good example? Like emails, right? Emails are an object. Contacts are an object. There's no direct relationship. There's a child joiner in the sausage making that makes reporting across them challenging. You can use cross filters to sneak up on them in certain report types. But
would a joined report help or no?
It would. I would assume it would help, except that joint reports are painful to look at and interact with.
I agree. I agree. But being able to report doesn't mean it's easy to report on. It just is able to report on. And I'm reading right above the camera. Sorry.
That's okay. You look very pensive, so we're all waiting for you to respond.
No, don't. The bifocals work on the bottom half of my glasses and I'm looking above. And so I'm like, I can't find it. Damn it.
What was the goal of the report? What was your goal? What were you trying to capture?
Just because I know when I propose this, because I'm still implementing this for a team, when they're going to want analytics, be like, oh, you know, this Dr. Smith, what locations can Dr. Smith do a surgery at? And I'm like, I don't want to just have to make them search and be like, oh, you know, Dr. Smith, he can do this procedure in these 10 facilities and have to do that for each physician. So I'm trying to like wrap my head. How do I visualize that? How do I report on that easily without them having to search?
So yeah, so you're basically saying, I want a list of all locations that have a relationship to this doctor's account. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and to this particular facility, it's like, oh, we are already doing work at this facility. Maybe that physician can't do a surgery at here, but this other doctor already has permissions to work in this facility. Let's go schedule a case here. So that's what I'm envisioning without having to manually, you know, search because.
Yeah, I mean, so if you were to do a cross filter, so I'm gonna make sure don't take this word for word because I'm still trying to picture your outcome. But if you were to do something like give me locations with location associated locations or accounts with associated locations, and then say as an associated location with this location, or you know, you basically have to go. We call it the W of death, quite honestly, because it's like this up and down relationship map when you look at the schema, and you can't do that obviously with a report type. But with the cross filter, you can say, give me the hospital that this doctor's linked to that have a relationship to this location with a cross filter. Now you won't be able to get details about the cross filter, but you can get like the left side of the W. I'm really rambling and making it impossible to describe. Is any of this making sense?
No, the whole I didn't think about the whole cross filter, but okay, no. At least that gives me something like visually. It's like I can throw in a dashboard. It's like, oh, we can. Okay, so no, that is the great workaround since I can't easily report. Cross filtering is boom, the way to go.
Joy looks
Thank
like
you so much.
Excited about something. Joy, did you find something?
Well, there's a whole health cloud administration guide that I was trying to read really fast and it wasn't working. But there's a lot of like tidbits in here. And because I haven't worked in health cloud before, I can't give you any like specific stuff. But there's gotta be folks out here that are in health cloud.
Well, and even health cloud agnostic, like one of the things that I've used in the past, just with some of these more complicated relationships, do you have either Conga or draw loop that would let you export a SOQL query out to at least Excel? I know it doesn't do you any good in Salesforce, but at least it gives you the ability to run a query to like nest things in there to try to like hone down to what you're looking for.
Oh, that sounds advanced. I'm going to say negative to both fronts.
Fair enough.
So,
Fair enough.
Okay. No, I think I have at least, I appreciate the direction here though. Thank you.
That's good. That's how interesting and fun is that?
Which?
All of it. Like anyway. Stu, why are you giving me a hand?
This is a scenario that I would also pull out my Tableau card and say, if your organization is interested in spending money for Tableau, the scenarios like this are really great. You can create either Tableau CRM or Tableau because you can build your own recipes and data sets and data flows to mix and match data and push and pull things together and show things in a very different way. But not all organizations have that resource or capacity to do that. Yep.
Okay. Thank you for that.
I have a question based on something that Brandon said. Shame on you, sir. Along the lines of your ability to bring in data in a file or whatever and match it up to existing data. So I have a rainbow and unicorn flow that I'm trying to build. I'm starting with campaign. Have a manager who gets a file monthly that is merely just a list of Salesforce IDs. They're you could say they're contact IDs. I think they're person account IDs, but they're their lead IDs, but they're Salesforce IDs. And he wants to take this list of IDs and put them into a campaign as campaign members. And in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, well, that should be easy. It's like, let's say it's 900 list of IDs. And so it's more than he wants to do copy paste. He would like to just take that CSV file, load it in to a flow, have the flow match and filter it. And then in the end, here's your list of contacts that go into a campaign as campaign members.
You
And
can load
that's,
you can load the IDs directly to the campaign using data loader.
I can't use data loader.
Import wizard works too, right?
Yeah, import wizard. And then whatever your target object for the from the data import wizard, you put that in the flow and you just cycle through those records.
How did my brain lose you there? Can I have the import wizard be connected to my flow? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's a multi-step process. First things first, you got to import the list of IDs through the data import wizard, then move over to the flow that looks for that object with those records. And then you just cycle through the record.
So the object is just a holding object that I'm going to import this list of IDs into.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then, you know, in your spare time, purge those objects records when you know you're done with it, so that the next time you have to run through the process, you have a fresh piece of paper, but the object's still there to perform its purpose in life in the flow.
And for that matter, the flow could also mark them so they're easier to delete.
Or that too, yeah.
Okay. Interesting. All right.
I would say when I was an admin, probably a good quarter of my custom objects were dedicated to things just like that, because I didn't want to keep exporting data out to Access and running queries and bringing it back in as CSVs. So I just had objects that were all to myself to kind of expedite that process and frankly, learn flow more.
If I can't, and if I don't have access to the import wizard, can I build an importer?
Import, oh, I can't believe I'm about to say this. Import the spreadsheet as an object.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Joy.
I said with all due respect, I said, I can't believe I'm about to say this.
I mean, I feel like if you're going to go that far down the rabbit hole, at some point, don't you just build a template engine in Excel or something and just like load a source table for your object references, or load a table, have a table that's your cut and paste of the contact IDs, and then have it generate a CSV that just loads where you want to load it. I'm oversimplifying, of course, but
well, I also know, like, if you're able to use Google Sheets, there are add-ons for free that will let you import. And hold on, is Todd on this call? Hey Todd, you were talking.
Is Todd on this call? Why wasn't Todd telling me this earlier?
Mike was talking about this. One of you two was talking about this at the
I am here.
Are you able to insert back into your org using those G Sheets add-ons?
I've never tried that.
Okay.
You might have me mistaken for someone else.
It was either you or Mike.
Yeah.
Must have been Mike.
I know we've used G Connector through XApex to pull data based on a query, use another sheet to tinker with it, and then push it back, basically for calculations that Salesforce couldn't do.
But yeah, Google will update existing.
There you go. It's a free connector.
Okay, those are three options that I'll let the tinker with.
But go back to why. We have a why opportunity here. Why is data loader or data import wizard not in play for this?
Well, the import wizard might be in play. Data loader is not in play because I don't want it to be in play, because I, as the architect, am shoving it off.
Why?
Reasons.
Why? I mean, if you're, oh, Stu, all right, let's do this. If you're the architect, why not architect the process to make it okay and viable?
And just remember, if there are objects like, okay, for Data Wizard, it doesn't handle all specific objects, where Data Loader is flexible, that handles practically any custom object I think you can use, if I'm not mistaken. Plus it handles a ton more of input data. So
right.
I forgot what it was, 5,000 to 50,000 or 55 million. I can't remember.
Right. Absolutely. All of that. I completely agree with you, Tony. I guess I would ask Stu, why are we seeking workaround options and add-ons and whatnot when the data loader tool's purpose in life is to get objects of data in and out? Like that is why it exists. So why are we avoiding it?
All right, I think we got somebody else with their hand up.
Dude, you're breaking up.
We have 12 minutes.
So we better move on to the next person.
I think Chris might have beat Andrea to the list. I don't remember. Okay, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, thanks. I found that we have a ongoing process that is, or there could be two processes that are creating duplicate contact roles on an opportunity for the same person. So either, an opportunity is being converted, or a lead is being converted to an opportunity, it's associating a contact role, and then there's another process that's grabbing the contact role. So my question is, in full transparency, I haven't looked at it, but I'm just thinking out loud. How do I go about kind of deduping the contact roles? They're the same contact and it's got the same contact role. I'm just concerned if I delete one, it's going to delete both.
Have you exported the opportunity contact roles object data to really hone in on, do you truly have duplicate records, or do you actually have duplicate metadata in terms of the actual role?
I think I've got duplicate records, but I haven't really thought through the process. I'm just like, oh, there's a lot of these.
Right.
So,
export.
Yeah, I mean, when in doubt, I always send it out because you're going to get the ID. There's nothing more unique than the ID.
So it would be the report export would be on the contact. Would it be on the opportunity contact role? Okay.
Well, I wouldn't even say report. I would say data loader or work.
Hey, look at that,
right.
data loader.
And raw data in it. What?
Right.
Drink.
Yep. Okay, I'll explore that.
I don't know if I should be offended or proud that I just made data loader a drinking game.
Sorry, I've been talking about it all week. It's great. Except that there's nothing fun in my glass. It's really just a soft drink.
Hey, Chris, just one thought, Chris. I've kind of been near this, and you could think in terms of a scheduled flow to read the opportunity, those team records, and find duplicates on the user ID. I mean, it will pop them out.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that feels like that works at a tactical level. I would still want to know, do you have duplicate metadata that perhaps Salesforce isn't preventing you from having opportunity contact role ABC and opportunity contact role ABC? Because what is the process that's actually getting these records created? Is it leveraging the opportunity contact roles label? Is it querying the metadata that stores each opportunity contact role at its base level and just finding the first ID that it finds and saying, great, I'm going to go insert it? You can clean up the data, but you might not be cleaning up the problem.
Right. Yeah, well, there's two pieces. One, why are we getting two to begin with, and then the second piece is to clean up the data. So
right.
So before you start cleaning, though, make it stop.
Right.
Well, because I mean, I would also check the age of things. I'm shooting from the hip here, but when opportunity contact roles or account team members or anything, when you delete them, do they really get deleted? do they always like attempt to update old data? And maybe you're looking at a mix of old and new data, or I don't know. I mean, just hit it from all aspects, because your problem may be exactly where you think your problem is. It may be nowhere near where you think your problem is.
Yeah.
And you said that
Salesforce is Salesforce. It's weird.
you said that the roles are, it appears to be the same role for like, say
Yeah. Without looking at all the data, because there's quite a bit of it. Generally speaking, yes, they look like they're the same roles.
just make sure you don't have like duplicates in your, like Dale was saying, like in your contact role options. So like when you go to choose your contact roles, you don't have two of that option somehow, but.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
I guess I was more concerned if I deleted the one contact, it's going to delete the other as well, and then I'll have 0 contact roles.
Right.
So
That's why I would say attack the root problem first before you then clean up.
And if you export everything, then you can always like fix it, because you have like where you have what you started with.
Well, Joy, how would you export that?
Me?
Yeah, data loader.
Hold on.
Hey, and if you're going to
happen.
delete it, you should be deleting a sandbox anyway, and then it won't matter how many you delete, right? So there you go.
You have a full sandbox? Yes, yes, no, maybe.
Always, yes, always.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite. Like everyone, full sandbox. Like ask for it when you get hired.
All right, we got 7 minutes, and Andrew's got a 6.5 minute question.
Well, hopefully not. I didn't come here realizing I had this question, but it came today. Thoughts on, our accounting team calculates the cost, revenue, whatever, the dollars that we will be getting essentially every year of a contract based on CPI. So it's $10 this year, and then it's 10 next year is $10 plus CPI, whatever. They're not doing it efficiently right now. There is Excel, and I'm wondering if storing that value in Salesforce, in terms of being able to reference it and do calculations, hopefully within CPQ or whatever, custom, because it changes every year. Custom object with records, custom metadata type. My counterpart also thought storing it somewhere and just literally having like, well, no, I don't think she had, there was something else. But I guess pros and cons between those two.
So.
Or other thoughts.
How much, you're having the same pro-con debate that I would have between a custom object and custom metadata. The questions I would ask is how much information, like how many years, how many different variables are you going to be storing with this?
For a given contract, it could be, I think they have placeholders for like 10 years worth of like, this is year 1 of the contract, year 2, 3, 4, 5. The other thing to take into consideration is sometimes we price things where it's CPI plus 1 or 2 or 3. So there's formulaing that would have to be done potentially as well, depending on if they picked it, is it CPI plus something?
So how frequently is this information changing? And once it knows it needs to be changed, how quickly does it need to be changed? And who is the owner of said information that once their stamp of approval is put on said data, it can be treated as gospel? And all of that will steer you towards one or the other. If it's something that trusted power users need to be updating frequently and often, but they're not admins of the system, you give them read edit access to a custom object. If it's something that really needs to be under lock and key and like an admin has to sign off on it, then leverage the power of custom metadata.
Yeah, because it's the CPI actual percent, like what it is, if it's 1.5 or 3 or whatever, that gets set once a year. And that is, I believe, for the entire org. It gets set in like January. And then I don't know how that, if like this year's CPI, if it's like if it's in year 3, if the CPI is 4, I don't know if if the contract looks at that value or the CPI of when the contract started. So that's kind of that's sort of what it is. It is like an exchange rate. It's that same kind of sort of idea. Like and that was the thing I thought about, like, it's active from this date to this date. And then we have a new one. So
are those formulas used on contracts, opportunities, accounts, different objects across the board in your org?
I don't know, not account. I mean, it's going to look, it's using it to calculate sales. It sits within CPQ. I don't know if it's on the quote. Probably on the quote.
Okay, because if it only remains in one place, then that would lean me towards a custom object. But if you're going to use it in different places all over the org, then don't put it in the custom object, put it in the metadata, because then you can refer to it from wherever you're at in the org.
That was my thought, and we can use it in the formula yeah.
Well, I would also ask, have you actually visualized the process flow of, is it linear, or are there potentially recursions or recalculations or anything like that? Because I think that's also going to help you land on what your solution is in terms of what is actually leverageable, because you may get to year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, which would be linear, but are there ever going to be additional calculations based on, this is what it was in year 2, so that in year 4, we need to do this during year 3. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know how thorough this all came up this morning in terms of what this process looks like, and we just started talking about it. So it was one of those, as long as I'm here.
I would say, honestly, you start with a process flow and don't even think about what the solution is. This sounds like it's going to be pretty hairy. That if you're thinking about solutions, you're going to you open up the potential for missing all the requirements.
But we do know that, the value needs to be stored somewhere in Salesforce, because again, the way they're doing it now is just not.
Well, and something else that you said that maybe I'm inferring, we do something similar in some of our investment returns. And what we were finding is that we use custom metadata because it represents a data point that we want to use all over the place. But we don't use formulas, we use process, because sometimes the calculation has to stay static. Meaning, like, say I put in 1.5 in on metadata, and then I have to do 1.5 plus like a factor on an opportunity. If you make it a formula, it's going to constantly recalculate if for some reason you make a change. So formula, don't accidentally change your data with a formula. And then also the process uses metadata, in my opinion, better than a custom object. But that's just an opinion. I don't think that's
okay. That makes sense. Yeah. So I think, like, to Dale's point, he left already. So we're still recording.
Yeah, we're at time. We're at time.
I didn't want to give him another he was right moment.
No, that's all right. I do think a SIPOC of this is a great idea. Stuart, you were going to say something?
Oh, don't let Dale know he's right.
And that's what I was like,
recording. He has it. We're gonna wrap up the call with.
Maybe he was right. Maybe you won't rewatch it.
Yeah, this one really screams a lot like the ask field is very narrow, but the scope is really big. And don't rush into a solution. Make sure you're pull this thing apart, and then you'll have your answer. I think from on the outside looking in, though, there's no real benefit one way or the other. It all has to do with how you're going to use it and why, not necessarily practice, right?
Yep, makes sense.
Okay.
All right, friends. Thanks so much for joining us. It was great to see everybody. Happy Friday. Have a super great weekend. And we'll catch you in 2 weeks, right? November 5th, right? November 5th.
That's right. And keep us up to date on any solutions you find, because we want to follow up.
Yeah, crowdsource in the community. Please crowdsource in the community. So we're going to turn off the recording, and we'll talk to everybody next time.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Bye. Yeah. Whoop.